Hello and welcome. In this presentation, I will be demonstrating custom reporting against the PaperCut external database. As we start out, I would like to point out we have a helpful reference page which includes links to tips and tricks for custom reporting. When it comes to custom reporting, there are many different tools, both free and paid, available. For example, the reports within PaperCut were created using iReport, a free option. In today's example, I'm using Crystal Reports as my custom reporting tool, which is a paid option. At this point, I have installed my reporting tool with default settings. I've upsized PaperCut from the built-in Derby database to an external database using the 4 simple steps documented in our tips and tricks page. I have the base SQL statement for the existing reports within PaperCut. And finally, I have a desire to learn how to create custom reports. It's a really good idea to see if the report or data you are looking for is not already available. It may be unnecessary to create a custom report, saving yourself this time. One may already exist for your need, or another report may be very close and contain the data you need with just a few small changes. Some helpful questions to ask yourself are: have you looked over the existing reports available in PaperCut on our helpful tips and tricks page? Have you tried an ad hoc CSV report instead of a PDF report, as PDF reports are limited in page size, where CSV reports have many more columns? Is this report needed once or infrequently? How much work is it to get the report into the format you need? For your reference, reports in PaperCut break down into the following types and focus areas: list reports, such as the user list report I will be creating today; log reports, such as print logs or transaction logs; summary reports, which provide totals or counts by focus area; breakdown reports, which show print, copy, scan, fax activities by focus area. The focus areas are typically users, printers, groups, accounts, etc. The first thing you will want to do is add a data source. The data source defines how the report connects to the data and is independent of the database system. Many different options are available, and I'm going to use an ODBC connection. PaperCut, for example, uses a JDBC connection to the database, as it is a Java application. Choose the System DSN tab, DSN standing for Data Source Name. Click the Add button to add a new data source, and choose the driver for SQL Server. I'm going to create a name for my new data source, and choose a server where the database lives. I'm going to put in my SQL Server credentials. Other options, I'm going to leave them all the same. And then you will want to test your data source. Test completed successfully. And now I have a new system data source in my list called PaperCut. Once you've validated your connection, it's time to decide how you want to view the data for your report. This can be done in many different ways, each having their own pros and cons. You can create a view of the data. This is the option I'm going to use. With this option, you create a stored query that SQL Server maintains. This view can then be queried as you would any other table in the database. You could also create a stored procedure. This option creates a procedure which can be called with different parameters, such as the date span for the report. I then want to insert the base SQL query for the report. These queries are made available on our tips and tricks page. In my case, I'm going to insert the SQL statement for the user list report. Into this new view, and then close and save the view. Now if I refresh my views, I should see that my user list report is now available. See the outcome of that report. For the user list report, the design view looks something like this, showing the relationship between the tables in my view. You can see that although there is a single user table, the query for the user list report actually contains multiple links. it links to table user accounts, which then links to table accounts, and it does this twice. This is because each user could have multiple personal accounts. We now want to connect our reporting tool to the new connection we created, which includes the new view, and launch Crystal Reports and start the blank report. I'm going to create the connection using the database expert, choosing ODBC and the data source name that I created previously. Enter in my SQL Server credentials. Choose the database I'm interested in. You can then expand down to the view that we created and add that to the selected tables. There are 5 sections to the report we are creating. The report header will appear at the beginning of the report. The page header will appear at the top of each page. The details section is used to display the report data. The report footer will appear at the bottom of the report, and the page footer will appear at the bottom of each page. I start the report by selecting Landscape Orientation under Page Setup. This provides an extra 2.5 inches of space per row of data on the page. Next, I will insert my company logo and title the report. I am increasing the size of the report title, right aligning it with the page and bolding it. Let's also add a line between the report header and the page header, separating the 2 sections. I'd like this line to stand out, so I'll increase the width of the line. Perhaps I'd also like some text describing how the report was generated. I'll insert this text in the report header as well. I'm going to create the column headers for each page. The first column is username, and I'm inverting the background color to black and font color to white to increase the contrast. I then repeat this for each of my columns in the report. To add data to my report, I open the Field Explorer. I can expand down to the view I created and drag columns from the view onto the matching column in the report. I would then repeat this for each of my columns in the report. To include fields for the current page and date time, I add a new formula field and enter the name for the field. I expand down to the existing function called page n of m and add this to my formula field. Then I create another field for the current date time by selecting the current date time function. Finally, I will add these fields to the report. To see the elements of the report I created, I open the Report Explorer. To see a preview of the report, which includes data, I would press F5. This creates a preview with the current data. Since I want to produce a PDF, I choose Export with the format of PDF. When I open the PDF created, I see the end result is the user list report with the user's card number.